this is kind of like a rundown of how to tape a totally janked up rifle, ignoring the painting problem. The main concerns we have is missing staircase on the bolt that's just been taped over, probably by me. I have no idea. This is an old rifle. And then the aggressive tape peeling and loose as hell strap. So, what we're first gonna do, I like to start in the center and go out personally. We're gonna take off the bolt completely so we can rewrap this tape. All you need to really do for that is if there's tape on the top, kind of like push it to the side with scissors or something, like where the screws are. Oh, I just found out this one does not have a second screw. Live, laugh, love, folks. And then take a screwdriver and you're gonna unscrew the screws and then take the bolt off. Okay, I got the bolt off, and assessing the damage is a really bad bolt. I don't have a replacement, so we're gonna work with it. We obviously have a crack and literally no staircase on the bolt, which is the little doo-doo-doots at the end. So what I'm gonna do to make this bolt safe to use is black tape and cotton balls. If you have a replacement, please use your replacement, but I don't. So all I do with this is I kind of just mangle around with it. I'm gonna essentially put a cotton ball here where the staircase would have been and wrap around it as if this was the staircase of the rifle, because that's our screw hole, which is somehow intact. Sorry, I have a movie going on, and we have this screw that we also are going to have to fill in. So there's going to be essentially 2 cotton balls sandwiched together like this, and this is only if the bolt is missing its screw. You can put this in as a precaution. It'll stop from shattering your bolt as worse if it's still intact. I recommend it. It's lightweight, doesn't put any weight, but you'll wrap around it, kind of maestro it, and just work around with it. I'll show you the finished product in a sec. Progress. This is the first cotton ball I put in here, and now it's taped over like you're just wrapping it around a couple times. And now for this one. For the top one, again, this is if the bolt's missing. I recommend starting by putting a cotton ball in the end and then going sideways on the bolt. So from here to here and not around. Put a strip of tape on the edge and pull over it. Kind of like creating a casing over. You're kind of imitating the staircase. You're just building what's not there anymore. It's just a lot of construction that I need to do with this one. It's very shattered, as you can clearly see. But you keep going over until you get it mostly covered on the sides like this. Now I just have the top, which I will then, oh gosh, sorry, which I will then go around it now. So starting from the side again, watching out for the screw hole, trying not to cover it up too much. I'm going to start going around, try to make it as flat as possible with that tape. So just pulling tight and covering up the stuff. And that is how you kind of fix the bolt temporarily, for temporary purposes, if you don't have a replacement. Now going back to the rifle, I'm gonna just, with my X-Acto knife, or I prefer X-Acto knives, just take off all the tape and then we'll start taping. Ooh, sorry. So now I took off all the electrical tape, and this strapping tape that's left out, I'm gonna keep it on. It's actually intact, so I'm not gonna mess with it. You don't need to waste strapping tape, but if yours does not, if you want to reinforce it, all you do is take your strapping tape and loop it around very tightly. At the corners here, it might be tough, so start folding it inwards a little bit to start getting rid of the creases. You want as minimal creases on the flat side of the rifle. It's okay if it comes inside of the rifle a little bit. But all we're going to do now is wrap around the rifle with white electrical tape for a base. I like to start personally from the neck and go in, but you come in and just go all the way through. Okay, now I taped the center part. Now it's nice and clean, and we're gonna put the bolt back on. So normally you just set it on to the back side, and normally if the holes are right, you can just go ahead and screw it on back in. It should find the hole pretty easily. So just go ahead. You can skip forward a little bit if you like. I'm just going to do this on camera for a little bit. But you're just going to go ahead, screw those in. Not too tight where you can't get them out, but just nice and firm where you can slightly loosen them up. I'll be right back. Okay, the bolt's screwed on, and to make sure the bolt is nice and secure, I take black tape, and on top of the screw, so I covered up this open screw, I wrap around it 2 to 3 times. This is just to make sure the bolt doesn't move and it's all nice and secure. Now, with this one, because this bolt is low-key broken and there is a gap, it's gonna be a little tricky to go over the screw, but you're just gonna do the best you can. If yours is not broken, you should have no problem. This one is just a very broken rifle that I'm fixing. And now, obviously you don't want to keep the lines, so you're just going to go over that with white by just placing white on top of the black on both sides. Sorry. I really like this show. But you just go around. Just go around, cover up the tape. I like to do 2, and so it covers up the black a little bit better. And then just cut off to your best of your abilities on the line for cleanliness. You can go ahead and skip some of this if you like. Sorry, this is a little bit longer hands-on video. I just want to make this as detailed and apparently as non-detailed as possible. But so this is what the rifle looks like. I can go ahead and, if I want, add a spotter tape on now, which you just take some black tape, snip, and on the side of the rifle that faces you, put it in the center, just like that. And now that is the center. Now let's go ahead and move on down here to the screws. I meant swivel. We're going to the swivel. So for this rifle specifically, I am missing a screw for my strap. Oh my gosh, stay still. So I'm missing a screw for my strap. There is no connecting screw at all. So what I'm going to do instead is, if you have a zip tie available, perfect. I'm just going to go ahead and grab a regular zip tie. Maybe like a medium size, not too big, not too small. Something like this. Take your strap. Once you get it pulled out and it's able to be free, put it back in through. If you took it out, you're going to pull it through like a belt and put it to your adjusted flexibility. Oh my gosh, sorry. You're going to put it to your adjusted flexibility. Let me fix my camera real quick. Sorry about that. So you're going to take your strap, pull it through as much as you can, and wherever the nearest holes that line up, which is going to be these ones, just like you would with the light rifle screw, you're going to feed through the zip tie instead through the 2 holes, and then you're going to close it. Sorry, you're going to go ahead and thread that through. And just like that, that's how you're gonna temporarily fix your strap, and then you'll zip tie it. Not zip tie it, you'll throw it in like a little piece of bread. Like the little bread zip ties. You'll just go whoop whoop with it. So it's kind of hard to see, but I twisted the tie through, and I'm gonna push it to the underside of the rifle so I can tape with black tape around here to hide that tie. So I just take the black tape and wrap around the strap the best of my abilities. Might be a little rough, so I'm with the strap being tighter now, so I'm probably gonna just take that off. And you're just gonna wrap around the strap like so. And now you have a usable, tighter strap if you're missing a screw like I am over here, or your screw is stuck, which is also like this one here. I was trying to get it out with a screwdriver, but it was rusted, so it's not going to come out. So I just use zip ties. It works decent, in my opinion. If you can get replacements, again, use replacements. But moving back to the actual swivel part, we're going to go ahead, take our strapping tape, put it on. You're going to put it over the metal part of the swivel. You want to put as much, I guess, protection onto the swivel as possible, as that is a crucial part of the rifle that you are holding when you toss and such, and you don't want any fragments of, I guess, metal or cracked wood from the metal. So I just wrap it around a couple of times, nice and secure, and then take off. And there's that part. It's all nice. I'm not gonna do it for this rifle, but if you want really to add more security, take a cotton pad, these little cotton pads, and you can put it on top of the metal and then wrap it around with the strapping tape, and it'll be more comfortable in the hands. That's what I do for some of my rifles that are really damaged, but this one is actually okay right here, so we're not going to do that. And then all we're going to do is the cosmetic part with the white tape and wrap it around. Gonna go all the way around, put tension on the part of the metal so it's nice and secure, and cut it off. And that is the swivel. Now I'm gonna go ahead and tackle the hardest part, which is the butt, and again, do the process, take off the tape. We are back. Okay, so this rifle, for examination, the wood is exposed completely. The foam piece was completely disintegrated, so I took it off. It's chipping here. There's wood fragments coming off, which is not necessarily safe in the long run. So what I do, you're going to take out very carefully, take out any loose wood fragments, if any at all. If this is a new rifle, you shouldn't have wood fragments at all. If you do, send it back to the company because they just ripped you off. But you're going to go ahead and take off loose fragments so they don't impose anything. And before you put on any foaming or padding, you're going to take your lovely friend called strapping tape. Put it directly on top of the butt. So here I am. I'm putting it directly on top and putting it around the swivel as well. Because that swivel, if the wood's broken on it, there's a good chance the wood can break further in the swivel, and you don't want the wood fragments to get out. So you're going to hold it in place. I'm going to do a couple laps with this on the sides as well. So I'm going to put it at this angle and put it on the top again, halfway, half and half, but I'm going to fold it over. To the flat side of the rifle, as flat as I possibly can make it. And again, this is literally to encase the wood solid. And then I cut off the corners because normally I don't really need the corners, or I just fold them on in. This is so you keep, like I said, keep all the wood fragments in place and they're not going to move for a really long time, which is what you need sometimes, especially during the middle of seasons when you're not able to like fully dissect your rifle. And now I'm going to do one layer around the edge of the butt. Just one, and that's to encase all of the tape that we just put on. And wrap it around, smooth it on out. And now this is about 1 inch or 2 thick of strapping tape, specifically here on the butt. Now for the protection of your rifle, if you have like foam, like this little foam stuff that you find in like packages with stuff, I recommend using it. If not, use cotton pads. Like really use cotton pads. I'll show you 2 ways, but I'll show you the easiest way first with the foam. You're going to measure, this is if your foam's missing. You can also add this too as an addition, because this is what saves your rifle. This is what makes your rifle last without it completely shattering at the bottom. This is your freaking life. You're going to measure out the edge of the rifle. And we're going to go ahead and cut a strip down like a big old rectangle. I'm just going to measure this roughly. But you want it to be like a little bit over. So just like this much. Like there's the butt and it covers it and it goes over it on the edges just a little bit like a rainbow. This is probably 1.5 inches here and like 5 inches lengthwise, something like that, just enough to cover the rifle. And all you're gonna do is with your strapping tape that I just threw across the floor, gonna grab the strapping tape, grab your foam piece, take the strapping tape, put it on top of the foam piece, just like put it on there. This is the easiest way to do it rather than having to like mingle with the tape on top of the rifle. This is just the easiest thing that I found that works. Place it on top. Put this on top and you're going to pull really tight. See, I'm going to put it right on top. Oop, you cannot see. I'm going to put it right on top of the butt and I'm going to pull really, really tight on the edges. And I mean really tight on the edges, so this stuff is going to hold down. And then, just like we did before, I'm going to take the tape, another strip, put it halfway, fold over on the sides, fold, smooth out as much as you can, and place down. Ooh. You're going to repeat on that side, place down, fold over, and tuck in the corners. Ooh. And now we have our foam piece. Let me show you how to mimic this with cotton pads. So you can skip the next parts in this video for this part. So to mimic the foam padding, you're going to take your strapping tape and you're going to take your cotton pads, and all you're going to do is you're going to stick them onto the tape. Once you do this, now you have an imitation foam pad. An additional step that I like to do to make sure you're nice and secure, take another piece of tape, and all you're going to do is you're going to sandwich it on like this. So now you have encased cotton pads, which are going to be very supportive. And the reason I put 2 pieces on both sides of the cotton pads is so that the cotton pads don't rip. like this outside, because you can't pick anything from the sides. Obviously, because I didn't tape the edges, they're going to be fluffy, but the inside's going to stay intact for that padding. It mimics the foam padding that you use. It's just a mimic of this, that if you don't have foam padding. But that's another option that you can do for both the nose and the butt of the rifle, and even the swivel if you want to put foaming down here, because I know this can hurt sometimes if the metal's like really intruding. But anyways, starting back at the rifle. Coming back to the rifle butt, now that we put all of the actual foaming down, or your cotton pad foaming, I like to do additional foaming, especially for more damaged rifles. It's all about layers, all about protective layers with rifles. We're going to take another piece of strapping tape, just longer, a little bit longer than the butt. So this is pretty long. Might have cut it way too long. And all I'm going to do is I like to put the tape down first. Take the cotton pad, you're going to put it, because a little lesson, when you drop a rifle, the two main points that you're going to hit is here and here. That is the point where most things break. So if you protect those pieces, they're going to be less likely to shatter. Therefore, your rifle lasts longer. So you're going to go ahead and put this on to the thing. I like to leave a little bit of space. And then with the bottom side, I like to start with the bottom side of the rifle. Tape down and bring across. So we have one pad foaming, but you're going to leave this here because you're going to flip it. You do the same thing with the second pad. Put the other pad on top of the corner and then bring the tape over it. Just like that. Now this is going to ensure that you really don't have more breakage in your rifle. Because again, especially with damaged rifles, your main concern is with wood splinters that have occurred or that you're trying to prevent. So these are two tips. You cover both of the edges of impact and you're more secure. Now again, we're going to go in more strapping tape. Strapping tape is like your best friend, by the way. I'm going to go ahead and put it on half. I think you know the drill by now, but if not, don't worry. Fold on the flat pieces and then push the tape down. And then, oh gosh, that was a terrible strip. And we're going to put down those pieces of tape. And now we are a fully secured and protected rifle. Now for cosmetics, we're going to go ahead and take it, start on the rifle butt, put a strip down the center, and down. And then you're going to cut it off. So you have a strip of tape here, and then you're going to put it on the edges of that tape and just start wrapping around on the flat piece. Try to overlayer it a little bit so it's easy. And this should be pretty good. This is the cosmetic side, but this can also, the way you tape it can also be the way you protect your rifle. I'm going to go around on the edges, just here on the very edge. Sorry, it's really hard to see, on the edge of the rifle. Come here. And then one more time. And here. And now we're going to go ahead and wrap around the whole rifle, starting from the bottom area. I like to do that because when this tape starts shriveling up, it's really hard to take it off if you start here. So starting here on the inner side of the rifle, you can just take that tape off and unravel it with it. I'll be right back when I do that. Okay, we have taped the butt completely, nice and secure. I have covered up the swivel on this end. And then I've also taped the screw on this side of the thing. Again, the screw does not come out because it's rusted. But now we have a tight strap-ish. Nice butt, nice hair, nice swivel. Now onto the nose. The nose is very similar with the butt. You're going to just go ahead and take off all the old tape as well. If it's destroyed under here, I'll show you in like 5 seconds. Okay. Oh, I took off all the tape. There's not as much damage on the nose as the butt, but we're still going to go ahead with the precautions. Like I said, you can either use foam or you can use the stacked cotton pad method. Whichever one, I do prefer foam. But we're going to measure out a square, about an inch on inch thick square, just something to cover the nose. And we're going to go ahead and do the same process of taking some tape, putting it over the foam padding or the cotton pads, putting it across, and then take another piece of tape. With the nose, since it's smaller, you can just do an X method or a plus method where you just put the tape on like this on top of the nose. It's a lot easier and quicker. And then same thing with precautions. We're going to go ahead and add a cotton pad as well. Like, this is how fast you can do it once you start getting the hang of it. Go ahead and put on the cotton pad. Put on the nose. And this is after, I don't know how old this rifle is. It's like a 4-year-old rifle, so she's been used quite a lot in multiple seasons, not by me, but she's been well loved, so we're just making her last longer. So this is what your nose will be like. Yes, I know, don't bully her. I know she's square, but it protects the rifle pretty well, I will say. I taped my rifle like this one time, like about a year ago, and I haven't had any wood break since. So it's just a lot of precautions. Same thing with the nose. We're going to go lateral across the nose and cover it up first. Cover it up like this, like a little sheet of paper, and then we go around. Starting from the bottom, the closest inwards to the rifle again, for easy removal later on. Ooh, no. Okay, hold on, let me restart that. I was wondering when I would run out of that roll. Restart. I've officially finished one roll of tape. It's crazy. Anyways, I'm gonna go back around, pull really tight around the nose area. Cut. And we are done taping this rifle. We have a new nose, new swivel, new center, and nicely secured and protected bolt, and a new butt. And so here is the finished product. Minus the needed painting on the edges, she is pretty good. She's a good weight. She's a good 36, but this is how you tape a very deconstructed rifle. Obviously, if you are taping a brand new rifle, you won't need as many steps as I did, but all the protective layers I do highly recommend. Maybe not for like every day, but if you're like gonna start a new rifle for the new season, I recommend using a lot of protective padding. It prevents you from having to retape it over and over and over again, because that just A, adds more weight to your rifle, and B, makes it a hassle to actually remove, as we saw here with this rifle. So hope this was helpful. If you need any more tips, please holler out and I will try to answer. Bye.